Classes in session.
How you doing? And welcome to Unlearn 16 Classes in Session, guys. We're back, but you just get me. You just get me, and I have a list of something like 40 questions that I'm going to try to get through. If I don't get through them all, maybe I'll do a part two. But you guys sent me a plethora, a diversity of questions, if you will. Some of them are deep and serious and and touching and meaningful, and others, well, yeah, they're just not so much. So we're gonna go into all of them though, because I think they all have value. First and foremost, somebody asked me if I could fly or be invisible, what would I choose? And my answer is clear, easy, not even a thought in my head. I want to fly. I want to fly because that feeling, I think, and that power and that sense of like an unlimited potential, I think is the coolest thing ever. Now, do I think if I was invisible, what could I do with that power? Yeah, but that might go to my dark side a little bit. I don't like to play to my dark side. I like to play to my nice, loving side. So I'm going to choose flight. Are you ready? All right. Question number 2. I said some of them are deep. Here we go, guys. You ready? How would you inspire those who have suppressed childhood trauma start working on their issues? So many kids get stuck in the cycle and can't break free. How do you help them find self love? Guys, listen. I read that question and I was like overwhelmed because you've just described the hardest thing and the most important thing that a teacher will ever try to do. Um, as a as a teacher, we understand that I can't do anything in my job unless that kid, that student, has a level of confidence, a level of self love. And the more that I come up against things with kids, I know that it's coming from trauma. And the hard part for a teacher, it's different than a therapist. Well, two things. Number one, I'm not a therapist. So I admit that, I embrace that. When kids come to me with big issues, I tell them, like, I am not a therapist. So if we can find somebody that is, to help you through your problems and help you through this trauma, do it. But the second problem of a teacher is probably even harder than the first. We can recognize we're not trained. We can get them help if they're up for it. Most kids, one of two things: they won't tell you about their trauma, or, and I don't know which one's harder to deal with on my end, or they haven't recognized it as trauma. Um, and not recognizing the trauma is probably, for me, the most difficult, because I can't even get at it ever because the student hasn't recognized it. So I can't deal with any of the foundational stuff. I can't deal with what happened. I'm not a therapist. I'd never try to be a therapist. And a lot of the times they're just coming at me with symptoms of trauma. So the best thing I can possibly do is handle the symptom and try my best to find strategies to help minimize their defense, minimize their possible anger, frustration, minimize their reaction to me, in order to crack a window so that I can do what that kid needs, which is to build any level of trust. Any level of trust. It could be this much. But building that is goal 1. And then goal 2, and if I can do that, sometimes I do it a lot through TV and movies. I know that sounds weird or that sounds silly, but it's a matter of like finding a way in, right? Finding the crack in the window, finding a way to connect with that kid. And a lot of the times, the shows they watch, their favorite movies, their favorite music gives windows, if you pay attention. And you can talk about their issues sometimes without talking about their issues, because they'll let you talk about movies and television characters or music lyrics as though it's separate from them. And if you can do that and do that in a thoughtful and meaningful way, you get the crack you're looking for. You get the sliver of hope. You get them looking at you a little bit different. And then the only thing I can do is figure out what they're passionate about and build their confidence to be successful and to be powerful in that. And if I have to stay metaphoric in the land of their favorite television show and movie, that's cool. I'll do that. But what I found is eventually, if you hang out long enough, if you build the right clubs and the right team environment, and you ensure, the atmosphere of your school is healthy and positive, and you can find different ways. And at the end of the day, the kid might not connect with me the way that they need to divulge anything. That's cool. Usually I can also, in my position, figure out what teacher or what other individual they can connect with, what other students sometimes. The hardest part about being a teacher in that situation is you can't, well, first of all, I don't think I can save anyone. But sometimes it's not about what I can do, it's about what I can facilitate. It's about me getting out of the way. It's about me building a bridge so they can get to the next person that they need who's really going to help. Um, and then it's to always be there when you say you're going to be there, to never break a promise, to hold true to your word, to hold true to the consequences of their actions, as well as the positives or the benefits of great actions. And that takes time. And the saddest thing for me is when I see a kid come into my school and leave before we can do that. Or leave and we haven't been able to do it because we couldn't find the right window. I couldn't find the right way to get in. But it's probably one of the most important jobs that I have. All right. Well, that was an easy one. Here we go. All right. Look, I didn't put these in any particular order, by the way, so it's going to feel fairly fragmented, but I kind of like it. What made you realize you were gay? I have a joke answer for that, but I guess, I absolutely fell for my, in retrospect, the team captain of my volleyball team when I was in high school. Nobody was out, nobody was gay, nothing happened. But in retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, I want to walk through fire for her. I didn't really realize until I was at York University walking the picket line and everybody around me kept using the word partner. And I'm like, why is everybody at York University gay? Back then, everybody used partner. They were being supportive, but I thought everybody was gay. And when I finally, I didn't come out right then, but it was the amazing part was getting to know people of all different backgrounds who were comfortable with who they were, who were comfortable where they stood, who, if they were straight, said the word partner because they knew what kind of an ally that made them and how important that was for support and empowering a group of people that have been oppressed for so incredibly long. And the more I became friends with this group, found out pretty much nobody was gay. They were just amazingly intelligent, political people. I went to a party. I got to the party and I met a person who stood in her identity prouder and surer and with as much boisterous kind of confidence as I could have ever possibly hoped. And I think I was drawn to that. So I was drawn to that, and that ended up being my first girlfriend. It didn't bode well, but it ended up being my first girlfriend. But it was the strength and confidence of being who she was and those people being who they were with no hesitation, with no, shame or no embarrassment or anything that was, built up to be that. Because when I grew up, obviously coming out wasn't the easiest thing in the world. And I was drawn to that strength, and I have nothing but respect for that strength. So when people say to me, why is it important to be out as a teacher? I say that. Those people didn't make me gay. They gave me this space to be exactly who I am without fear, without repercussion. And I will spend my entire career making sure that everybody around me knows who I am and how I stand to make space for anybody who needs the space to be made so they can become who they always were. That's my answer for that one. All right. I love this question, by the way. You ready? Number 3. Have you ever gone on social media and searched out your exes, including your ex-wife? And does it bother you if they seem happier or more successful? A, of course. Of course, everybody's gone and searched out their ex. And yes, I have. My exes, my ex-wife, 100%, 100%. And the only time anything bothered me, to be perfectly honest, is when I wasn't healed. Right? When I wasn't healed, when I wasn't whole, when I was hurt after the divorce or when I was hurt after a breakup. Yeah, you want everybody to feel as crappy as you feel. But now, and for quite a while now, I hope that everybody is happy. I hope that everybody finds their path. I hope that everybody finds what they're looking for to have a fulfilled life. Because what you end up doing after a breakup, even after a breakup of a marriage, which is freaking horrifically painful and destructive, hopefully at some point you figure out who you were in that relationship, how you weren't whole, how you didn't accomplish or stand the way you should have stood, and how that part is on you. And if I was more me and I stood up and I was more holistically developed and I had healthy boundaries and I had healthy concepts of love and all of those things, guess what? I don't step into a relationship that destroys me. I don't. And even if a relationship has to end, it wouldn't have destroyed me because I would have been whole, but I wasn't. And so even though at the beginning you're filled with vengeance and rage, that dissipates because I put in the work. I tried to figure out what role I played, and then I looked at that. I took a hard look at that, and I had the beautiful luck of meeting Anna, and she gave me space and had this incredible strength of character and authenticity that allowed me to continue to heal and see maybe some of my failings, maybe some of my limitations, and she was there standing beside me, encouraging me and bolstering me and at every chance she got, because she knew all of the potential. And I think she really saw my authentic self and was proud and supportive of that. So I lucked out. I started to heal. I started to figure out. And then I met somebody that could have taken advantage of a bit of a broken person. And instead, she didn't fix me. She didn't fix me. She might have just passed me some glue. She might have just given me hints down the path. She every once in a while, but she let me fix myself. And that was powerful. So I don't have to look at those anymore and think in any other way other than I wish them well. I wish them health, happiness, and whatever I couldn't do, I hope they find somewhere. I know, that's fair. Listen, it's been a long time, guys. It's over 3 years now. I know I sound healthy, but in all fairness, if you would have asked me this question a long time ago, you would have gotten a rant 17 hours long. So don't think I'm just like the nicest person on the world, because I'm not always. All right. How can you create resilient adults? This is a great question, by the way. How can you create resilient adults without them going through the suffering and tribulations that shaped us? I don't know. Here's the thing. Every single person on this planet are going to go through trials and tribulations. It's impossible to avoid. it's impossible to avoid. The things that we went through, or the things that, nobody needs to go through horrific trauma to learn stuff. Nobody needs to, face abuse in their home. And I know a lot of people have. Nobody needs to face, destitute, horrific circumstances to develop character. Nobody needs that. But the trials and tribulations, everybody's going to do that. They're going to do it at their own time and their own pace. And it's going to happen. And here's the reason. When we risk anything, when we risk our hearts, when we risk our minds, when we risk our autonomy, when we risk love, there's possibility and probability of that failing, of us losing something. And when we lose something, that crash and burn, that's our trial, that's our tribulation. Nobody gets everything they want. Nobody's life goes smooth and perfect. That's not the point. The point of a parent, I think, the point of, and I look to my mom often for this, the point of a parent is to be not to wrap us in bubbles so we don't get hurt, but is to be there to put the Band-Aid on or drive us to emerge and sleep in one of those hospital chairs while we get better. And that's both literal and metaphoric. That's the job. And if you have people, forget it. Even if you have one person in your life that will always sleep in the chair in the hospital room, you'll be good. Your kids will be good. That's all we need, because there's no bubble wrap created to stop it. But if they know you're always sleeping in that chair, you will raise the most powerful, impressive, confident superstar on this planet. That's what kids need. All right, next one. Did you watch the Grammys? I told you guys, these are all over the place. No, I did not. Although now I just want to watch that whole devil thing, because it's really, really pissed off Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh. I also think it's hysterical. Yay, Sam. I'm just going to buy his album just for that presentation alone. Number 7, what fueled your passion for streetwear? My childhood? I think it's just a reversion, right? And I happen to be wearing if you're not watching, I'm wearing a purple hoodie and a purple hat on backwards at the moment. It's what I'm comfortable in. When I look in the mirror, I see now I do get dressed up, and I also like the vibe when I'm dressed up, and I see aspects of me. It's like we all have versions of ourselves that we like, different ideas of ourselves at different times. Meanwhile, the hoodie, the baggy jeans, the right pair of kicks, the sideways backwards hat is the most me, the most often. It is the clearest reflection, I think, of how I see me. I don't know how else to describe that. And obviously it has a lot to do with growing up in the 80s and early 90s. Of course, all of that would have been, and nowadays it's back in. So people are like, wow, look at Joanna, so stylish. It's just luck that I'm stylish right now. This is just who I am. I think it's, give me 5 or 10 years, people will be like, what the hell is that kid wearing? Possibly, but I'll still be wearing it. Don't you worry about a thing. I also love, I think I become more, I'll try a lot of things too. Like a lot of things like I would never wear before. I'm like, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to see what it looks like. And I've kind of shocked myself. I think fashion sometimes is a way of finding caveats of your personality that you never knew existed until you put it on and you saw a reflection where you're like, oh, that feels authentic. Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable, to test out all those boundaries. Has Anna taught me French? She'd kill me if she... Un petit peu. Do you and Anna want kids? We talked about it. We said we both would like at least one, but I'm a little long in the tooth, guys. And Anna it would have to be her egg, and I would have to be the one that carried. And considering I can barely shovel my driveway, I don't know if I can physically take that on. And then being the age I'm at, raising a child, which I would want to give so much, well, all my attention to, really. But at this point in my life and my career, it's like I'm getting busier and busier by the second. And I don't think I'd be able to devote the time I would, well, that any good parent would want to devote, right? So I'm just going to have to work on being an amazing aunt, and to my friends' kids, to Anna's and my nephews, to everybody I can possibly sort of gather in my brood. I'll just spoil the heck out of them, get them all hyped up on sugar, and then come home and do a podcast. My coming out story. Well, I kind of already told that, right? I met this girl. I met a girl. I had to go see about a girl. That's it. That's it, really. And as soon as I met her, within weeks, I told everybody in my family, except for my grandma. You guys heard that. My mom hated her before she even knew that I was dating her, but she maybe knew under, you know. And my mom and I fought for about a year, and I don't know if it's as much about the being gay or me coming out, but we had a hard time of it. I think the thing was, when I came out at like 24 or however old I was, I think the thing was, or 25. I think the notion that my mom thought I was hiding something from her, because everybody was so surprised that I was gay. And then she thought I'd been hiding it from her all those years, or I've been hiding it for a long time. And I think she felt, well, I know she felt kind of betrayed, because she thought she was a really good, supportive mom. And then for me not to tell her that, um, but I also think that I never went through a rebellious stage when I was a kid. So I never was like, at 16 years old, sneaking out of the house and staying out. I never was that kid. We never had fights then. There was nothing big that happened at my house. And I think at some point, I hate to tell parents this who haven't gone through it, kids need to have something big and monumental that causes that fracture. Not that it's not going to heal, because it will heal, but it needs to cause the fracture so they can really stand on their own, and stand in opposition, um, in order to formulate, in order to step into their own being, their own selves. And I think I waited a very long time in order to do that. What made you? We're on question 11, by the way. We're definitely going to have to do two parts. This is insane. What made you want to become a teacher? I have no idea. My uncle is a science teacher. He's brilliant. He's a physics teacher. I remember watching him teach physics, and physics, these kids were on the edge of their seats. He made it spontaneous and funny, and he's brilliant. So he explains it well, but his classroom, it was like people wanted to be there and they wanted to learn. And I remember wanting to be that. When I became a teacher, I don't know if it was so much my goal. I think I thought, that's so much of a teacher. I'm going to try teacher's college. I'll try to be a teacher. If I don't like it, I have my master's. I'll go back to school and get my PhD. That was my thought process. I didn't know teaching was who I was until I stepped into the classroom. And as soon as I stepped into the classroom, I'm like, that's it. That's who I am. I'm good to go. When Anna and I getting married? I don't know. This summer? We're trying our best. You know what? We're just trying our best to figure out what the best possible plan is. We might have a couple surprises in the I don't know, near future. And so I'm trying to make space for that as well. So I don't really know when. I feel like I'm married already, though, to be honest. Um, And she does want everybody to wear neon suspenders. So technically, we're still fighting about that. Do I have any siblings who identify as you? I'm assuming what this question meant. Do I have any siblings who are gay? I'm an only child. I do not. All of my cousins um, are, from what I know, straight. So I'm it. I'm the diamond in the rough in the whole family. I'm the, that when it's like, oh, the gay cousin, I'm the problem. It's me. Hi, I'm I like that. So I'm a bit of an original in my family. Um, how do I set up my phone in my car for story times? I have two placements for my phone in my car. One is on my dash, just to the left of the center console, so I get the right light, guys. The reason why I'm in my car all the time isn't to show off my car, which apparently a lot of people think that's what I'm trying to do. It's because, I'm going to tell you guys, just between me and you, it is the best lighting of all time. So that's why you set up in your car. If it's sunny outside, you're going to get the best lighting. Or on the passenger door, I lean it on the armrest and I lean it and I tilt it up just a little bit. And again, I do that depending on when the best lighting is, where it's coming from, how I catch it, and that's it. Sometimes the car too, because I can't do it. Sometimes in school, it's too noisy or I can't focus. So I'll go get a coffee and then I'll do it from the car. And I like the quiet. So that could be it. But it's all about the lighting, folks. Never forget that. People ask you, what's the most important part of video? Lighting. All right. What is my biggest regret? You know why I hate regrets? I hate talking about regrets because A, you can't go back. But B, I'm incredibly happy with where I am and where I stand right this minute and who I am. I know that sometimes I wish that I could have figured myself out a little bit quicker, that I didn't stay married for as long in something that obviously wasn't healthy and powerfully beneficial for me. And I wish I recognized that and was able to negotiate that. But I think my learning curve is long. I think I needed, as much as I would have liked to have learned that lesson, my marriage lesson in half the time, I think my stubborn head needed the 10, 11 years for me to really come to terms with where it was my fault. And I know that sounds weird. Why would I want it to be my fault? Well, you need to figure out, and I've said this a million times, I needed to figure out what love was and what a healthy boundary looked like. Because prior to that, I had no boundaries. I thought love was complete and utter sacrifice. And I think it was going to take me the 11th, like as much as I had to go through, as hard as what I had to go through was, I think it needed to take me pretty much that entire time. Would I like time back? Sure. I'd like my back not to hurt so much. But see, when you say what's my biggest regret, my mind, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it always goes to my mom. If I could have changed anything, if I could have made her go to the doctor earlier, found the cancer earlier, like she's doing well now, but I would have loved if I could have just, because like she just avoided the doctor. And if I could have just been like, nope, we're going, let's go, we're getting all the tests done. I can be a really big pain in the ass, but I wasn't a pain in the ass enough, obviously, to make her go and get tested. Because if we would have caught it earlier, every road she's had to go down would have just been easier. And there we go. I wish I was a bigger pain in the ass. Don't let my mom hear this. She'll cry. All right. What's my hat size? 7. My fitted hat size is a 7, folks. I've had lots of people send me hats. You guys are lovely. You're all trying to make me rep your team. I love it. How many takes does it take to get a video perfect? Guys, I'm going to tell you this. My best performing videos take me 1 or 2 takes. If I have to struggle because I can't get the words out or because it's too much to memorize or whatever, I should just put it down and put it away. Because when it doesn't come authentically out of my mouth, then you guys can tell. You guys can tell. And it's not about it being perfect. It's about it being authentic. So when I tap into authenticity and I just go on a rant and it just spills out and it's easy and I get it done once and I might have made a mistake or two, I'm telling you right now, those are the ones that do the best because I believe that those people can see, forget the story, forget the message, but people see authenticity. And I think that's what people are drawn to, right? Nobody wants production. Nobody wants somebody putting it on. And I'm never really putting it on. It's just sometimes when I'm talking about big issues, it's hard to remember all of the different elements that I want to speak about, and then still have a natural kind of vibe about it. So to answer your question, all the good ones, they took 1 time. All the bad ones, they took 417. I have beautiful eyes. Well, thank you so much. Where do you get them from? Your mom, my mom, and my dad. I don't know if my dad's eyes are more inset like mine are. And my dad and mom's eyes are very similar in color. My mom's are probably a little bit more on the gray side, and my dad's are a little bit more on the blue side. So it was a joint effort. I appreciate both their genetic structures. To the future teachers, what do you believe we should strive to do and be like? You. Honestly, you. Creating. Everybody talks about teachers being objective. First of all, it doesn't exist. But subjectively, who you are matters. How you open up, how you connect, how you display the information, how you try to engage students, all of the different methodologies that you will use, you are a part of a bigger puzzle. Not every kid's going to connect with you. Not every kid's going to find you fascinating and brilliant. Some are going to think you're a jackass. That's cool because you're not there to necessarily connect perfectly with every single kid. You're there to offer a conduit. You're there to do whatever you can do and who you can be authentically so they can see you standing there authentically. And no matter if you teach physics or chemistry or history or art or music, it's your authentic presence and your love of what you do and your passion for what you do that they're going to remember. There's a lot of kids that walk away and never want to take a history class from me and never take history again, but they connected to me. They took a piece of who I am and rolled it into the idea and the reality that they get to be whoever they are. They get to be that person, stand strong, stand tall, stand powerful. That's it. That's our job. And the way you do that is you create space by being you. I hope you guys understand that. I feel like I'm rambling a bit, but who inspired me to be an educator? Well, my uncle. Who did I not want to be like? I never liked teachers, and I didn't realize this when I was a kid, but you know those teachers that are like, well, they're two different people. They stand in front of the classroom and they're this, I teach, whatever course and I do it perfectly, but the kids never get to know any of who I am. I'm not talking about wanting to tell kids my life story, but who I am matters. And I never saw the point in dividing those two. A lot of people will tell me, like, they'll say, Joanna, do you get in trouble at your school because you do TikToks? I'm like, this is me. You guys see me on this podcast, on TikTok. I'm the exact same person in the classroom, at a dinner party. I'd be the exact same person sitting across the dinner table from the Prime Minister of Canada. This would be me. So I don't love the sectioning off of personhood. I don't like it in any capacity. I think anytime you put on a new shell to fit in or to come off as something else, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. And I wouldn't be in a career where I had to consistently sort of camouflage myself like that. So that's what I don't like. I don't like those kind of teachers. Which tattoo means the most? I don't know. You know what? You can't see. Oh, this, I love this. This little X and O, people are going to be like, why that one? Lou and I decided to play tic-tac-toe while I was getting tattooed. The reason why I love it is because Lou is one of my best friends. She did beautiful artwork all over my body. But that one was us just having fun in a permanent way on my body. And there's something for me that's like incredibly authentic in that experience. Like that ties me. Lou did all my tattoos, but this one is her just as much as it's me in a way. And I love that. I love that sort of moment that we were able to share. My first tattoo and my most painful, I have unlearned right down my rib cage. I got it at 33. That was my first tattoo. Yeah, and my rib cage is pretty well exposed. I don't have a lot of extra whatever there, so it was lovely to sort of scrape along my rib cage for like 4 hours by far. How did Ann and I meet? On TikTok, baby. I stood in the bathroom right over there. I did a TikTok rant about things deal breakers in relationships, one of them being don't clap when the plane lands. She saw that I was wearing, oh my God, guys, I was wearing what I'm wearing right now, except I had on a jean jacket, very Justin Bieber. And she DM'd me on Instagram. And this was her first line. Are you ready, guys? She said, "Hey, you're killing the TikTok game." And me and my overinflated ego at 5,000 people following me, I was like, thanks. She had like 40,000 at the time. I like a strong atta girl, guys. Listen, it's my love language, atta girl. That's it. She gave me my love language. She didn't compliment me on my aesthetic because that would have made me uncomfortable. She didn't like ask me out right away. She didn't, you know what I mean? She tapped into my love language, which was atta girl. So there it is. You ever want to get to me? It's all about the atta girls. Can I come to your wedding? Yes. If you only had 24 hours to live, what would you do? Okay, listen. Of course, I'd spend it with Anna and my family and, you know, but what would I? I would really want to be swimming in the ocean, free diving with humpback whales off the coast of Tonga. That's it. And however it's going to end, it can end with me in that water surrounded by these amazing, beautiful creatures that I just want to be around. Don't tell Anna or my mom. Have I ever thought about dressing more feminine to appease others? Of course. Not for a long time. But yeah. Yeah, there's even been people close to me that sort of consistently wanted to push me in that direction. They're no longer in my life. I've had partners who have like been like, "Oh, just try this or just try this or why do you got to wear hats all the time? Or your hair, like can we just do something about your hair?" And I've succumbed to that. 100% I've succumbed. And when I was younger, obviously I wore dresses and I did what I needed to do. Even when I was teaching at Metro Prep, even in the last 20 years, I would wear dresses to prom. I would get dressed up. Now, sometimes part of me would be like, I like it because people lose their minds. And I don't think it's so incredibly out of my character. But I think it takes you, if you're not going to go with the flow, if you're not going to allow to be socialized and sort of just fit into whatever everybody expects you to and it works for you, which is cool if it does. I think it takes you took me a long time to fight through all of that inside my head to figure out when I looked in the world and I didn't see myself in a binary, right? I didn't see the girl side, no, the guy side, no. And then I like this somewhere in between, you know? I like the pink hat, the pink shoes, but the baggy jeans. I like the, let's say, Japanese inspired men's clothing that has a feminine slant. It's almost as though I needed to invent me clothing wise. And if I had all the money in the world, I would just design stuff, right? That I think, like, because I do like a fitted kind of vibe, but in a very specific way. And it's hard to find that when you don't, when you go into H&M and you really don't want to go into either side of the aisle. Having said that, I do love H&M, but I need them to pull it together. Not everything can be boxy. All about the slim fit. How would I deal with an unsupported administration? That's a hard one. I've worked in such a great school that I don't know what I would do. I think if I was in a unionized environment, that's who I would contact. It depends on what the lack of support looked like, or I'd stop looking for support from them. And I'd start doing what I need to do and ask for forgiveness later. Is that a horrible answer? That might be a horrible answer. Do what you got to do, ask for forgiveness later. I just don't, if you don't have a supportive admin, it is what it is. Talk to your union, try to figure out what you need and why they're not giving it, and then do what you got to do in your classroom to make it work there. Talk to parents, circumvent the admin. And then recognize this. If it's about a particular student, I think at some point you have to recognize you don't get to, and even I can't, you don't get to be the last person that makes the last decision. There's no final control. And sometimes you have to let go of the battles that aren't worth fighting. And only you're going to be able to know what those battles are. My Saturday morning cartoon list? Come on. Well, the Flintstones were on at lunchtime in the week when I was a kid. But I'm a Smurf kind of girl. Inspector Gadget was kicking around then. G.I. Joe, big fan. He-Man, huge fan. What else was kicking around back then? I would have gone throwback some cartoons too, right? Anything Looney Tunes. If Looney Tunes was on, I was watching it. But I'd also watch the old Hanna-Barbera, right? Captain Caveman, that whole 9 yards. All of those cartoons would have been the best. Can you come dig up the elephant ear? Yes, I'll give you my address. Please come dig it all up because I have no doubt it's growing there again. How do I stay positive teaching in Ontario? I don't work for Doug Ford. I work in a private school. And why do I work in a private school? Which is another question. Accident. I came out of teaching, teachers college, and the public system just wasn't hiring. And a friend of a friend said, this school is hiring, come put your thing in, your resume. I sat down, I fought with Wayne for 40 minutes. I got hired. I've been there for 20 years. So I was lucky. I didn't choose private over public. It wasn't an ethical or moral choice for me in any way, shape, or form. And I do support heavily the public system. But I do know that ever since I left high school, our public board has been slowly gutted. Bigger class sizes, less funding for everything. And so working at Metro and being able to see what we get to do there and how I get to relate to students and what the class size does for real education going on in the classroom. I use those actually as arguments for bettering the public school system. But it's going to need a boatload of more money. Do I think DeSantis will become president? Heaven freaking help you. I think he has a good run at Republicans, though, guys. Here's my problem. I don't think Biden should run again. I think the Democrats should get a new president, a new candidate, because you need somebody who can mop the floor with DeSantis in a debate. And I worry about I find his politics abhorrent, but he's very intelligent with how he presents them and how he manipulates the voting population. So I have a healthy fear of it. Are we still interested in coming to Dublin? Me, Anna, and Stu, we're all coming to Ireland. I promise you we will figure out that time. Will I run for some sort of office? Guys, whose seat would I, what table would I sit at? Right? What am I going to sit? I'm going to sit with Ford? No. I'm going to sit with liberals? Trudeau? And the NDP, listen, I am drawn to that party sociologically, ethically, for a lot of reasons. They just need to reframe. They need to reframe, and they need to stand firmly they need to stand firmly on a handful of issues rather than standing on every single issue that's ever been, put on the table. You need to have a balance of an economic platform and a social justice idealism. You cannot negate one for the other. And I feel as though the Conservatives negate social justice for the economy. I feel as though the NDP platform negates the economy for social justice. And I feel as though the Liberals, you never quite know which way they're going to fall, and they all make me nervous. And here's another kicker. I don't compromise. I say what I say. I stand where I stand. I'm not going to speak for a party. I'm going to speak for me. And if I disagree with the majority of my party, am I supposed to be quiet? I don't see that happening, guys. I don't see that. Which is your favorite hat? I think this one right now is my favorite. Although, to be honest, I really do love the Big League Chew hat that I have. The Blue Jay one with the Big League Chew crossover. And guys, look at this. The last question. And the last question is this, guys. They want to hear about the chicken story. And listen, Anna's not here. It's just me and you, and I can finally tell you the chicken story that I haven't been able to tell you because Anna at every given turn has stopped me telling you the chicken story. So here it is. Picture this. We were at Loblaws and hi honey, I'm not doing anything. I'll be right down. I love you. Same back time, same back channel. I'll see you guys next week. Dismissed.